The ability to focus on what truly matters is no longer a nice-to-have quality. It is survival in a world designed to hijack your attention and keep you endlessly busy but never better. You can spend your days answering messages, reacting to notifications, jumping from one task to another, and still feel like you are not moving forward, like you are always tired but strangely unfulfilled, because effort without direction is just motion, not progress. This is the trap so many people are stuck in right now. Constant noise, constant distraction, and a constant pull toward things that offer quick stimulation but zero real value. If you feel scattered, burned out, or like your energy is being pulled in 100 directions at once, it's not because you are weak, lazy, or unmotivated. It is because you are living in a system built to keep you distracted, reactive, and available 24/7. But at any moment, including this one, you have a choice. You can keep drifting, hoping things will calm down someday. Or you can decide to take control of your focus and build a life that actually means something. That decision does not happen tomorrow or when you feel ready. It happens now with a single commitment to cut the noise and direct your attention toward what matters most. What follows is not about hyping you up for a few minutes and sending you back into the same cycle. It is a clear, practical roadmap for reclaiming your mind, protecting your focus, simplifying your life, and building the discipline, clarity, and consistency that long-term success requires. By the time you've absorbed these ideas, you will understand how you've been programmed, how to escape the addiction to noise and drama, how to choose what truly matters, how to stop being busy and start being effective, how to rewire your identity around focus, how to lock in on one thing, how to build systems and use dopamine to your advantage, how to train mental clarity, and how to make fast, powerful decisions. If you are ready to stop wasting time, to step out of reaction mode, and to finally lead your own life, this is where the shift begins. Right here, right now.
Every morning, you wake up with something more valuable than money, more powerful than opportunity: your attention. Where that attention goes determines the quality of your life. Yet most people give it away before they even take their first conscious breath. You open your eyes, reach for your phone, check messages, scroll feeds, and without realizing it, you have already handed your mind over to someone else's agenda. This is not an accident. You have been trained to do this. Algorithms, headlines, notifications, and opinions are all designed to shape your thoughts, your desires, your beliefs about what is important. And if you do not stand guard over your mind, the world will gladly use it for its own purposes. You were not born this way. As a child, you were curious, present, unafraid to try, to explore, to imagine. Over time, you absorbed a script written by others, teachers, parents, peers, media, telling you who you are, what you can do, what you should want, and how you should live. And somewhere along the line, you began confusing that programming with your real self. Maybe you've started to believe that you are not disciplined, too distracted, or just not a focused person. But those are not facts. They are stories you've practiced so long they feel true. Taking back your mind does not mean waking up one day as a perfectly disciplined machine. It means accepting full responsibility for your inner world, your inputs, your thoughts, your beliefs, and the actions that flow from them. It means questioning the voices in your head that say you must be available to everyone at all times, that busyness equals productivity, that your worth is measured in likes, followers, or constant activity. Focus is not a personality trait, it is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows through intentional training. Each time you say no to a distraction, delay an impulse, or choose to place your attention on something that genuinely matters, you are rewiring your brain, strengthening your mental focus circuitry, and uninstalling the default program of reactivity. When you reclaim your attention, you reclaim your time, your energy, your creativity, and your potential. You stop living on autopilot and start living on purpose, moving with intention instead of being dragged by noise you never chose.
We live in a world that worships stimulation and treats silence like a problem that needs to be fixed, and that environment quietly conditions you to crave noise, drama, and constant input. The real flex today is not how much you post, how many group chats you keep up with, or how fast you answer messages. The real flex is inner stillness, the ability to remain grounded while the world screams for your attention. You are not born distracted. You are trained to jump at every vibration, respond to every ping, and chase every new update, because every tap, click, and swipe delivers a tiny hit of excitement that keeps you coming back for more. The catch is that each of those hits steals a little bit of your focus, leaving you more scattered, overwhelmed, and drained, even if you've done nothing that truly matters. Noise and drama thrive on your reaction. They need your anger, your curiosity, your outrage, your gossip, your time. The more you engage, the more they grow, and the less capacity you have left for deep work, real rest, or meaningful connection. Escaping this addiction does not mean hiding from the world or pretending nothing is happening. It means choosing what you give your limited attention to and refusing to let low-value noise consume the energy you need to build your own life. You don't have to be available to every conversation, every controversy, every piece of breaking news, or every personal update in everyone's life. You are allowed to set boundaries around your focus, to leave chats on mute, to step away from heated debates that change nothing in your actual reality, and to prioritize your peace over other people's expectations. When you begin unfollowing negative accounts, turning off non-essential notifications, and replacing hours of passive scrolling with active creation or intentional rest, you'll notice a powerful shift. Less anxiety, less mental clutter, more bandwidth for the things that actually matter to you. You will still slip up at times, pick up your phone without thinking, get pulled into drama you didn't mean to entertain, but awareness is the turning point. Each time you catch yourself and gently pull your attention back, you are breaking the old pattern and building a new one where silence is not uncomfortable, but powerful, and where your focus is no longer for sale to the highest bidder.
Most people feel exhausted and confused, not because life is inherently chaotic, but because they are trying to live without a clear definition of what truly matters to them. When you don't decide your own priorities, the world will be more than happy to give you some. Make more money, impress more people, chase status, stay up to date, be endlessly available. You end up saying yes to everything and everyone, wearing 1,000 invisible expectations on your shoulders. Family expectations, cultural expectations, social expectations, and wondering why you feel so heavy and directionless. The turning point comes when you stop long enough to ask yourself some uncomfortable but essential questions. What do I actually value beneath all the noise? What kind of life do I want to build, not in theory, but in reality? What am I willing to work for, sacrifice for, and protect? This is not about picking the right answer according to anyone else. It is about getting brutally honest about what feels true to you, even if it conflicts with what you've been told you should want. When you begin to define your own values, health, family, service, mastery, freedom, creativity, faith, your decisions stop feeling random because you finally have a compass. Everything in your life can then be filtered through one simple question. Does this align with what matters most to me? If it does, you move toward it. If it doesn't, you let it go, even if it's convenient, familiar, or socially approved.
This kind of clarity will often require difficult choices, like stepping away from old habits, walking out of relationships that no longer support your growth, changing your environment, or releasing goals you once thought you wanted but now see were never truly yours. It may make other people uncomfortable. It may even scare you, because clarity makes it impossible to hide behind confusion or pretend you don't know what you want. Yet the peace and power that come from living aligned with your true priorities are worth every uncomfortable moment. You no longer chase everything. You choose a few things that matter and build your life around them, which reduces stress, increases focus, and creates a deep sense of meaning that busyness can never provide.
In a culture that glorifies hustle, long hours, and constant motion, it is easy to believe that being busy is the same thing as being productive. But that belief is one of the biggest lies keeping people stuck. You can fill your entire day with activity, emails, errands, small tasks, endless meetings, and still end the night feeling strangely empty because none of it moved you closer to the life you want. Motion is not the same as progress. Only actions that directly contribute to your most important goals actually move the needle. The people who transform their lives are not the ones doing the most things. They are the ones doing the right things with ruthless consistency. They are not trying to check every box. They are asking a simple, brutal question. Is this task truly important, or is it just making me feel busy? If the answer is no, they cut it, delegate it, or reduce it, freeing time and energy for what really matters. This requires the courage to say no to demands on your time that don't align with your mission, to social obligations you don't genuinely care about, to projects that sound impressive but don't fit your direction. It also requires a shift from reacting to planning, from letting the day decide for you to deciding in advance what your top 1 to 3 high-impact actions will be. Start by asking yourself each morning, what is the one thing I can do today that will make the biggest difference? Then protect time for that thing like your future depends on it, because it does. You do not need to work 18 hours a day to change your life. You need a few focused hours applied to the right lever. When you break the addiction to busyness and prioritize effectiveness instead, you gain back energy, time, and mental space. Your days feel lighter but more meaningful. You accomplish less in quantity but more in impact. You attach your self-respect not to how tired you are at the end of the day, but to whether you did the things that actually mattered. And that is where true productivity and true freedom begin.
Success does not come from doing a little bit of everything. It comes from committing deeply to a few things that truly matter, and then doing them so well, so consistently, that results become inevitable. Most people are spread too thin to ever gain real momentum. They're trying to build 10 different things at once, juggling too many priorities, and wondering why all of them feel stuck at the halfway point. The people who break through are the ones who simplify. They choose a lane, define their one thing, and pour their time, energy, and attention into it until they begin to dominate. Your one thing might be building a business, mastering a skill, restoring your health, saving your marriage, or finishing a degree. But whatever it is, you have to be willing to move it from something I want to something I am committed to above everything that doesn't align. That doesn't mean you ignore every other responsibility. It means you stop treating everything as equally important and start structuring your life so that your key priority gets your best hours, not your leftover energy. When you wake up each day knowing exactly what your main focus is, you eliminate a massive amount of stress and decision fatigue. You no longer ask, what should I do today? Because the answer is already decided. What moves my one thing forward? Simplifying like this can feel uncomfortable at first because it requires letting go of side projects, of scattered ambitions, of trying to please everyone. Yet what you gain in return is clarity,
power and momentum. Once you start seeing progress in one area, you build confidence that you can apply the same approach elsewhere. Simplify, focus, dominate, repeat. You start to realize that complexity was never a sign of importance. It was often just a mask for avoidance and fear. The more you strip away what is non-essential, the more room you create for excellence in what truly matters. And excellence in one area of your life often spills into others. Less noise, fewer distractions, and a clearly chosen one thing transform focus from something you chase into something you embody. Your brain is not built to thrive in constant randomness. It craves patterns, rhythm, and predictability because those things signal safety and allow it to conserve energy. When every day is chaotic, when you are constantly deciding from scratch what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, your mind burns out on decision fatigue long before you get to your most important work. The solution is not to push harder, but to build systems, simple, reliable structures that tell your brain, here's what we do and when we do it, so it can relax and execute instead of constantly negotiate. High performers don't depend on feeling motivated because they know motivation is inconsistent. Instead, they create routines that make the right actions automatic. A system means your workout happens at the same time most days, not whenever you feel like it. It means your deep work block is scheduled and protected, not squeezed in whenever you find a free moment. It means your mornings are designed, not accidental. Maybe you wake up, avoid your phone, hydrate, move your body, review your priorities, and then begin focused work, rather than starting with other people's demands. Your system does not have to look like anyone else's. It just has to be clear, simple, and aligned with your goals. The more you repeat your system, the more your brain comes to expect it, and the less resistance you feel to starting. On hard days, the system carries you. You don't ask, do I feel like it? You simply follow the structure you've already chosen. This creates a sense of inner certainty, even when life around you is unpredictable. You know what your anchors are, the habits you will show up for regardless of mood or chaos. Over time, your identity shifts from someone who tries to be disciplined to someone who has a disciplined system. You are no longer trying to remember 100 things. You just trust the process you've put in place. If your life feels scattered, don't blame your willpower. Examine your systems. Start with one, a morning routine, a work block, a nightly shutdown. Lock it in, keep it simple, and let your brain enjoy the certainty it has been craving.
Your brain runs on rewards, and the primary chemical behind that reward system is dopamine, the signal that says, this feels good, do it again. The problem is not dopamine itself. The problem is that modern life offers too many cheap, instant dopamine hits that reward you for behaviors that give you nothing in the long run. Every notification you check, every mindless scroll, every junk snack, every impulsive distraction trains your brain to expect reward now for zero effort. Over time, this makes real work, study, training, building, creating, feel unusually hard and boring by comparison, even though those are the activities that can actually change your life. To reclaim your focus, you have to reclaim dopamine, shifting it from fueling distraction to fueling discipline. The first step is to become aware of your current reward loops. When do you reach for your phone without thinking? What do you turn to when you feel stressed or bored? How often do you choose instant entertainment over intentional effort? Instead of judging yourself, observe like a scientist. Then begin to flip the script. You don't have to eliminate every source of easy dopamine, but you do need to stop giving it first place in your day. Make a rule that you earn your rewards by completing meaningful actions. For example, no social media until you've finished a deep work block. No show until you've done your workout. No snack until you've read a chapter or completed a task that matters. At the same time, consciously celebrate disciplined behavior.
When you follow through on your plan, pause to acknowledge it, feel proud of it, maybe even track it on a habit chart. That feeling of satisfaction is also dopamine, but now it's attached to growth, not avoidance. As you repeat this process, your brain starts craving the sense of accomplishment that comes from progress, and the old temptations begin to lose their grip. Environment design helps too. Keep distractions farther away and purposeful tools closer. Books instead of apps on your home screen. Healthy food instead of junk in reach. A dedicated space for focused work that your brain associates with productivity. You are not a slave to your impulses. You can train them. Over weeks and months, the shift becomes obvious. You stop chasing empty dopamine hits and start getting hooked on the deep, lasting reward of becoming stronger, smarter, and more in control of your life. In a world overflowing with information, opinions, and constant input, mental clarity is becoming one of the rarest and most valuable skills. A clear mind is not a mind that never feels stress or doubt. It is a mind that can notice those feelings without being overwhelmed by them. A mind that can see through the fog of noise and stay focused on what matters. Clarity does not appear on its own. It is trained, like strength or endurance, through daily habits and deliberate practice. The first layer of that training is awareness, learning to observe your own thoughts instead of automatically believing or reacting to them. Notice when your mind starts racing, when you spiral into overthinking, when you're replaying past mistakes or imagining worst-case futures. Simply being able to say, "My mind is busy right now," creates distance between you and your thoughts, and that distance is where clarity is born. The second layer is creating space, tiny pockets of stillness in your day where your brain is not being bombarded with input. That might look like a 5-minute breathing exercise before work, a short walk with no phone, a few minutes of journaling where you pour your thoughts onto paper and sort out what's real from what's noise. These moments calm your nervous system, clear mental clutter, and make it easier to see your priorities. The third layer is intentional focus. When you work, you fully work. When you rest, you fully rest. Multitasking shatters clarity because your attention keeps fragmenting, forcing your brain to keep switching contexts. Choose one important task, set a timer, and give it your whole focus until the timer ends. You will be amazed how much more you can do when your mind is not constantly interrupted. Over time, these practices build a kind of inner steadiness. You become less reactive to drama, less easily pulled into other people's chaos, less likely to lose hours in distraction without realizing it. You make decisions faster because your mind is not clouded with as much internal noise. You communicate better because you're clear on what you think and feel. None of this requires perfection. You will have messy, scattered days. What matters is that you keep returning to clarity training as a priority, not a luxury. A clear mind is your greatest asset in a distracted world, and it is built one quiet, intentional moment at a time.
Indecision quietly destroys more dreams than failure ever could. Because while failure at least moves you forward with feedback, indecision keeps you frozen in place, burning energy without creating progress. Every time you linger too long on a choice, should I start? Should I quit? Should I say yes? Should I say no? You drain mental power that could have gone into action. The people who advance fastest in life are rarely the ones with perfect information. They are the ones who decide quickly, based on their values and current knowledge, and then adjust as they go. To decide like a Spartan is to stop treating every decision as a life or death event and start using clear principles to cut through the noise. First, know your direction. What matters to you? What you are building? What you will and won't compromise on. When you're clear on that, most choices become simpler. If something aligns with your mission and your values, it's a potential yes. If it doesn't, it's a no, even if it looks impressive from the outside. Second, accept that no decision will ever come with total certainty. Waiting for 100% clarity before you act is just fear in disguise. Learn to move when you have good enough information, maybe 60, 80%, and trust that you can course correct. Third, give yourself deadlines instead of letting decisions drag on indefinitely. Decide by tonight, by this week, within 5 minutes for small things, within a day or two for medium ones. The more you compress decision time, the more energy you free for implementation. Finally, understand that not choosing is also a choice. The choice to stay the same, to tolerate what you say you want to change, to surrender your future to hesitation. You will make wrong decisions sometimes, everyone does, but action gives you data. You can refine, pivot, or reverse based on reality instead of living forever in your head. As you practice deciding faster and more cleanly, your confidence grows, not because you are always right, but because you trust yourself to handle whatever happens next. That self-trust, combined with focus and clarity, turns you into someone who moves while others stall, who creates while others overthink, who leads instead of waiting to be led. Your life, in the end, is the sum of the decisions you actually make, not the ones you only think about. So start making them on purpose, with courage and speed, beginning now.
Discipline is not just about willpower. It is about architecture. If your environment is built to distract you, it does not matter how strong your intentions are, you will get pulled off course. Your brain is constantly being cued by what it sees, hears, and feels around you. And if every corner of your life is filled with triggers, your phone face up beside you, tabs exploding across your screen, clutter covering your desk, the TV always on in the background, then distraction is not an accident, it is the default setting. To create relentless focus, you must design an environment that supports who you want to become, not who you've been. Start with your physical space. Clear your main work area of everything that is not directly related to the task in front of you. Put your phone in another room, or at least out of your line of sight. Even seeing it can reduce your attention and tempt you to just check something. Close unnecessary browser tabs, log out of distracting sites, and make it slightly inconvenient to access time-wasting apps. That friction, those extra steps, give your conscious mind time to interrupt old habits. Then look at your routines. Where do you usually sit when you scroll mindlessly? Where do you tend to work best? Anchor certain behaviors to certain locations. This chair is for deep work. This space is for rest. This area is for learning. Your brain will start associating those spaces with those states, making it easier to slip into focus when you sit in the work zone. Go further. Prepare your environment the night before, so tomorrow's you walks into a world set up for success. Desk clear, tools ready, priorities written. Finally, protect your environment from unnecessary access. Let people know your deep work hours. Close the door. Use Do Not Disturb. You are not being rude, you are being responsible with your limited time and energy. When your surroundings stop screaming for your attention, you will discover just how much focus you actually have. You'll realize that you were never as weak or easily distracted as you thought. You were simply trying to stay disciplined in an environment that made discipline nearly impossible. Change the environment, and you radically increase your odds of staying locked in on what matters. Focus is not just a mental game, it is deeply physical. You cannot expect your brain to perform at a high level when your body is exhausted, undernourished, and neglected. Most people try to think their way into discipline while running on 4 hours of sleep, no movement, and junk food, then wonder why they feel foggy, unmotivated, and emotionally unstable. Your energy is the foundation of your focus, and 3 pillars matter more than anything else: sleep, movement, and nutrition. First, sleep. You can't cheat it. Chronic sleep deprivation makes distraction harder to resist, slows your reaction time, increases anxiety, and destroys your ability to think clearly. If you want laser focus, start by protecting 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep most nights. Create a wind-down routine, dim lights, no heavy screens right before bed, a consistent sleep schedule, and a cool, dark room. Second, movement. Your brain loves oxygen and blood flow. Physical activity delivers both. You don't need to become an athlete, but you do need to move your body daily. Even a 20-30-minute walk, a quick body weight routine, or light stretching can dramatically improve your focus, mood, and resilience. Think of movement as charging your mental battery, not just working out. Third, fuel. Highly processed foods, constant sugar spikes, and irregular meals create energy crashes that wreck your concentration. Aim for balanced meals with protein, healthy fats, and complex carbs. Stay hydrated. Even mild dehydration can reduce cognitive performance. None of this requires perfection. It requires respect for your body, for your brain, and for the mission you say matters to you. When you treat your body like an afterthought, your mind pays the price. When you take your energy seriously, your focus becomes easier, not harder. You stop fighting constant fatigue and start working with a mind that is clear, stable, and ready to lock in. You don't just push through the day, you build a life where your physical habits support the focused, powerful version of you that you are becoming.
No matter how disciplined you are, the people around you can either amplify your focus or slowly destroy it. Your social environment is one of the most powerful forces shaping your attention, beliefs, and habits, often in ways you don't consciously notice. If your life is filled with people who thrive on drama, gossip, complaining, and endless distraction, it will be incredibly hard to build a focused, purposeful life. Not because you are weak, but because humans are wired to mirror the emotional and behavioral patterns of those around them. This is why you must take your boundaries seriously. Boundaries are not walls, they are standards that protect your time, energy, and mental space. They sound like, "I don't respond to non-urgent messages during my work blocks," or "I'm not getting into that argument again," or "I care about you, but I'm not available for this kind of conversation right now." You are not obligated to attend every argument you are invited to. You are not required to answer every call immediately. You are not responsible for managing other people's emotions at the cost of your own focus and well-being. This may mean limiting contact with people who constantly pull you into negativity or distraction. It may mean redefining relationships that have been built entirely on complaining or gossip. It may even mean actively seeking out people who are serious about growth, discipline, and purpose. People whose presence raises your standards instead of lowering them. Community can be a powerful accelerator. When you surround yourself with focused, driven individuals, staying on track becomes the norm, not the exception. You feel less alone, less weird for caring about your vision, and more supported when things get hard. Ultimately, the people in your life should either be aligned with your direction or at least respectful of it. If they're not, you don't have to hate them or cut them off completely, but you do have to be intentional about how much access they have to your attention. Your focus is too valuable to hand over to anyone who treats it carelessly. Focus without execution is just potential energy. It feels powerful, but it does not move your life forward unless it is converted into clear, consistent action. Many people struggle not because they lack ideas or even motivation, but because their planning is vague, overwhelming, or unrealistic. They set huge goals with no concrete steps, or they write endless to-do lists that mix crucial tasks with trivial ones, then get stuck in paralysis. Effective planning is about simplicity and clarity.
Start by defining your main outcome for the next 90 days in one or two key areas, for example, business and health. Make it specific and measurable. Sign 5 new clients, lose 10 pounds, launch my first product, finish my certification. Then work backward. Ask, what has to be true for this to be done? From there, break it down into weekly targets and then daily actions. Your daily plan should be short and ruthless, at most 3 high-impact tasks that directly support your main outcome. Put those tasks into your calendar as appointments with yourself, not vague intentions. Treat that time as non-negotiable. When you sit down to work, you should not be asking, "What should I do?" You should already know, because your past self decided it with a clear head. To support this, end each day with a brief review. What did I complete? What blocked me? What are my top 1 to 3 priorities for tomorrow? Write them down before you sleep. This way, you wake up already knowing where your focus needs to go. You stop wasting half your morning figuring it out. You don't need an elaborate productivity system. You need a simple, repeatable way to translate focus into action. Clear outcomes, small steps, and a daily plan that fits your real life. When you combine that with the focus, environment, and energy you're building, you stop living in the land of someday and start stacking real, tangible wins, one focused day at a time.
Most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year of steady, focused effort. The real power of focus does not come from one epic day of productivity. It comes from showing up again and again until the work becomes part of who you are. That's where habit stacking comes in, a simple but powerful way to build consistency without overwhelming yourself. Habit stacking means attaching a new behavior to an existing one that already happens every day, turning your current routines into anchors for growth. For example, if you already drink coffee every morning, you can stack a 5-minute planning session right after your first sip. Or if you always brush your teeth at night, you can stack 3 minutes of journaling or reflection after you put the toothbrush down. By linking new habits to old ones, you reduce the mental effort needed to remember them. Your brain begins to treat them as a single sequence. Start small. Instead of promising yourself you'll work in deep focus for 3 hours daily, begin with 10 to 20 minutes right after a consistent trigger, like after breakfast or after you sit at your desk. Once that becomes automatic, you can extend the duration. The key is to make the habit so easy you cannot reasonably skip it, even on bad days. Consistency beats intensity. Track your habits visually, a calendar, a notebook, an app, so you can see your streak. Your brain loves visible progress. It reinforces your identity as someone who shows up. When you inevitably miss a day, don't spiral. Just follow the rule. Never miss twice. Missing once is a slip. Missing twice becomes a pattern. Get back on track immediately, even with a tiny version of the habit. Over time, your stacked habits create a powerful foundation of automatic behaviors. You plan your day, you protect your focus, you move your body, you do deep work, all because these actions have been woven into the fabric of your daily life. That's when discipline stops feeling like a constant struggle and starts feeling like your natural way of living. Focus is not just about charging forward, it's also about stopping regularly to ask, is this still the right direction? Without reflection, you can become very efficient at climbing the wrong mountain, working hard on things that no longer match your values or goals. Reflection is how you course correct quickly instead of wasting months or years on autopilot. It does not have to be complicated. A simple weekly review can change everything. Set aside 20 to 30 minutes once a week, same day, same time if possible, and sit somewhere quiet with a notebook. Ask yourself a few key questions. What worked well this week? Where did I show strong focus and discipline? Where did I get distracted or pulled into noise? What did I learn about myself? What needs to change next week? Write your answers, even if they're messy. The act of writing forces your brain to slow down and think clearly. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small. They reinforce your new identity. Then be honest about your misses without beating yourself up. The goal is not self-criticism, it is self-awareness. Next, choose 1 or 2 specific adjustments for the coming week. Maybe you realize your deep work block needs to happen earlier before your energy dips. Maybe you see that a certain app or person keeps hijacking your attention and you need a stronger boundary. Maybe you notice you haven't been sleeping enough and you commit to a bedtime. Do not try to fix everything at once. Focus on a few high-impact tweaks. Over time, these small, consistent course corrections compound. You stop repeating the same mistakes unconsciously and start evolving deliberately. Monthly or quarterly, you can do a deeper review. Are my goals still aligned with what I value? Do I need to change direction, raise my standards, or let go of something that no longer fits? Reflection ensures that your focus is not just intense, but accurate. It keeps you honest with yourself and aligned with the life you actually want to build, not the one you drift into by default.
No matter how focused, disciplined, and intentional you become, life will still hit you with unexpected problems, failures, and disruptions. You will have days when nothing goes to plan, when your energy crashes, when old habits sneak back in, when you miss workouts, skip deep work, or fall into distraction. The difference between people who succeed long-term and those who quit is not that the winners never stumble, it's that they don't turn one stumble into a full collapse. They expect setbacks, and they treat them as part of the process, not as proof that they are broken. When you hit a setback, your first job is to control the story you tell yourself. Instead of, "I always do this, I'll never change," shift to, "This is feedback, not a final verdict. What can I learn?" Ask what triggered it. Were you tired, stressed, overcommitted? Was your system unrealistic? Understanding the root cause lets you adjust intelligently, instead of just trying to try harder next time. Second, shrink the habit if needed. If a 60-minute deep work session suddenly feels impossible in a chaotic week, do 10-15 minutes. Lowering the bar is not weakness, it's strategy. It keeps the habit alive and maintains your identity as someone who still shows up even when life gets messy. Third, communicate with yourself like you would with a friend you respect. You wouldn't tell them to give up over one bad day. You'd remind them of their progress and encourage them to get back on track. Give yourself the same grace. Finally, use setbacks as a chance to strengthen your systems. Maybe you need clearer boundaries with your time, better sleep, or a backup minimum version of your routine for crazy days. Each challenge becomes training, an opportunity to build resilience. The more you go through this cycle, stumble, reflect, adjust, continue, the less power setbacks have over you. They stop being reasons to quit and start being raw material for your growth. That is how momentum is built and protected over the long term. Your phone, laptop, and apps are powerful tools, but if you are not intentional, they stop being tools and become masters. The average person checks their phone dozens, even hundreds of times per day, often without any conscious reason. Every check costs you a slice of attention, and attention is exactly what you are trying to protect. Digital minimalism is not about rejecting technology. It is about using it on purpose instead of by default. Start by auditing your digital life. Look at your apps and ask which ones genuinely add value, which ones are neutral, which ones are pure distraction. Be honest. Then start cutting. Delete apps you don't need. Log out of platforms that waste your time. Turn off all non-essential notifications. You do not need to be alerted every time someone likes a post or sends a non-urgent message. Decide on specific times of day when you will check email and social media instead of letting them interrupt you constantly. Put your phone physically away during deep work, meals, conversations, and before bed. Consider grayscale mode to make your screen less stimulating. Use website blockers if you find yourself drifting to the same time sinks.
At the same time, deliberately upgrade your digital tools to support focus. Use note-taking apps to capture ideas so they don't clutter your mind. Timers for focused sprints. Calendars for blocking important tasks. The goal is to transform your relationship with tech from compulsive to intentional. You choose when and why you use it, and you stop expecting it to entertain you every time you feel a hint of boredom or discomfort. At first, you may feel restless without the constant stimulation, but that discomfort is a sign you are breaking an addiction. On the other side of that restlessness is something you have been missing: the mental space to think deeply, to feel your own emotions, to be fully present in your life. You don't have to become a monk, you just have to stop letting your devices run your mind.
Your ability to do deep, focused work is one of the most valuable skills you can develop, especially in a world where most people can barely concentrate for 5 minutes without checking their phone. Deep work is any mentally demanding activity done with full concentration and no distraction. Writing, coding, designing, strategic planning, studying, creating. It is during these deep work sessions that you produce your best results and make exponential progress in your growth. Yet they're often the first thing sacrificed to meetings, messages, and shallow tasks. To reclaim deep work, you have to train your attention span like a muscle. Start by scheduling short, focused sessions, maybe 25 to 45 minutes, where you commit to working on one important task with zero interruptions. No phone, no email, no social media, no multitasking. Set a timer. When your mind wanders, gently bring it back. When the timer ends, take a short break, then do another block if you can. Over time, increase the length of these sessions as your capacity grows. The first few times you might feel restless or uncomfortable. That is normal. Your brain is used to constant low-level stimulation and quick task switching. By staying with one thing, you are rewiring it to tolerate and eventually enjoy sustained concentration. Protect your best hours for deep work. If possible, do it early, before the world's demands begin to pile up. Let others know you're unavailable during that period. Use rituals to signal the start. Same place, same time, same steps. Clear desk, put on headphones, open only what you need. These cues help your brain shift into focus more quickly. Deep work is not just a way to get more done, it is a way to experience your own potential. When you are fully immersed in a challenging task, time seems to disappear, and you tap into a level of creativity and power you rarely feel in a distracted state. That experience reinforces your identity as someone capable of serious, meaningful work, and that identity keeps you coming back to the practice. Discipline is hard to sustain if you are only doing things because you feel you should. The deepest, most sustainable focus comes from being connected to a purpose that actually matters to you. When your actions are tied to something bigger than comfort, bigger than ego, when they serve a mission, a calling, or a set of values you truly care about, then sacrifice stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like alignment. Purpose does not have to be dramatic, it simply has to be real. Maybe your purpose right now is to break a generational pattern, to become the first in your family to live healthy and financially stable. Maybe it is to build a business that gives you and others freedom. Maybe it is to be a present, strong parent, partner, or friend. Maybe it is to master a craft so you can serve at the highest level. Whatever it is, you need to articulate it, write it down. Ask yourself, why does this matter to me? Who does it impact besides myself? What kind of person do I need to become to live this purpose fully? When you are clear on your why, your daily discipline has context. Waking up early isn't just about being productive, it's about showing up for your mission. Saying no to distractions isn't about deprivation, it's about protecting what you care about most. On days when motivation is low, purpose is what gets you to move anyway. It reminds you that your feelings in this moment are temporary, but the life you're building is long-term. Return to your purpose often. Read it in the morning. Reflect on it when you feel like quitting. Allow it to guide your decisions. Purpose does not automatically make the path easy, but it makes the hard days meaningful. And a hard day with meaning beats an easy day without direction every single time.
Relentless focus does not mean running yourself into the ground. Burnout is not a badge of honor. It is a warning sign that you are violating your own limits and ignoring your basic human needs. Ironically, people who care the most about their goals are often the ones most at risk of burnout because they are willing to sacrifice sleep, rest, relationships, and health in the name of progress until their mind and body finally rebel. Sustainable focus requires rhythm, periods of intense effort followed by genuine rest. Rest is not laziness, it is maintenance. It is what allows your brain to consolidate memories, make creative connections, and recover from stress. Without it, your performance declines, your mood crashes, and your discipline crumbles. To avoid burnout, you must plan rest with the same seriousness that you plan work. Build small breaks into your day, short walks, stretching, stepping away from screens. Take evenings or portions of them to disconnect from work and be fully present in something else: family, hobbies, nature, simple quiet. Protect at least one block of time each week where you step off the gas completely, giving your nervous system a chance to reset. Watch for early signs of burnout: constant fatigue, irritability, loss of joy in things you used to enjoy, trouble concentrating, feeling numb or resentful. When you notice them, don't ignore them. Adjust your load, revisit your systems. Maybe you need to simplify, delegate, or extend your timeline. Ambition is powerful, but it must be paired with wisdom. You are not a machine. You are a human being with cycles, seasons, and limits. Taking care of yourself is not selfish, it is essential if you want to stay in the game long enough to see your vision become real. The goal is not to sprint for a week, it is to run your race for years. Rest is part of that race. One of the fastest ways to lose motivation is to feel like your effort is not leading anywhere. When you can't see progress, your brain starts asking, "What's the point?" even if you are quietly moving forward. That is why tracking matters. Tracking makes your invisible progress visible. It gives your brain clear proof that your focused actions are paying off, even when results are still small. What you track will depend on your goals, but the principle is the same. Turn your focus into numbers, streaks, or tangible records. If your focus is fitness, track your workouts, weights, distances, or consistency. If it's business, track calls made, proposals sent, deep work hours, revenue. If it's learning, track pages read, hours studied, courses completed. Keep it simple and easy to update. Use a notebook, a spreadsheet, an app, or a wall calendar where you mark each day you show up. Over time, those marks become a story of discipline, of showing up when you didn't feel like it, of moving from who you were to who you're becoming. Tracking also helps you make better decisions. When you see your data, patterns emerge. You might notice you're consistently skipping your morning routine on certain days, or that your best work happens at a particular time. You can then adjust strategically instead of guessing. Additionally, tracking allows you to set small milestones and celebrate them. Celebrate not only outcomes like hitting a revenue number or weight goal, but also consistency milestones: 30 days of daily writing, 50 workouts, 100 deep work sessions. These celebrations release dopamine and reinforce your identity as a focused, disciplined person. The key is to track what you can control, your actions, rather than obsessing over what you can't fully control, like external results. Focus on inputs and let the outputs follow. When your focus is visible, your motivation has something solid to stand on and your commitment deepens.
One of the hidden enemies of focus is your intolerance for boredom. The moment things feel slow, repetitive, or uncomfortable, your brain screams for escape. And in a world full of instant stimulation, escape is always one tap away. Yet the ability to stay with boredom, to remain present when nothing exciting is happening, is a superpower in a distracted age. Why? Because all meaningful work contains stretches that feel boring. Practicing the same skill, revising the same project, showing up to the same routine. Growth lives on the other side of boredom, and if you cannot tolerate it, you will keep abandoning the process right before the breakthroughs happen. To teach your brain to love boredom, you must stop medicating every empty moment with stimulation. Stand in a line without pulling out your phone. Sit in silence for a few minutes each day, just breathing and noticing your thoughts. Take a walk with no music or podcast. At first, you will feel restless. Your mind will search for distraction. Stay with it. You are training your nervous system to realize that nothing bad happens when you are not entertained, that you can handle your own thoughts. Bring this into your work as well. When a task starts to feel dull, instead of instantly switching to something more exciting, set a small timer and commit to staying on it until the timer ends. Notice the urge to escape and choose to ride it out. Over time, your threshold for boredom increases, which means your capacity for deep focus increases. You become less addicted to constant novelty and more capable of doing the quiet, sometimes monotonous work that greatness requires. Ironically, when you stop running from boredom, life becomes richer. You notice details you used to miss, you think more creatively, and you experience a deeper satisfaction that no quick hit of entertainment can match. You have seen the pattern now. The world is noisy by design. Distractions are engineered. Your brain is wired for easy rewards, and your attention is the most valuable currency you own. You are not lazy, broken, or doomed to be scattered. You have simply been living in a system that profits from your unfocused mind. But awareness is power, and you now understand how to reclaim that power. You know that focus is not a personality trait, but a muscle. That you can design environments, routines, and systems that make discipline easier and distraction harder. That you can rewire your dopamine, your identity, and your habits to align with the life you actually want. You know that clarity, not busyness, is the key. That one thing done with full commitment beats 10 things done half-heartedly. That reflection, rest, and boundaries are not luxuries, but necessities. None of this will matter, though, unless you act. There is no perfect time coming, no future version of you who will magically wake up disciplined without the choices you begin making today. The focused, powerful version of you is not somewhere far away. It is built moment by moment, decision by decision, habit by habit. You do not have to transform everything overnight. Start with one change, one boundary, one deep work block, one morning system, one habit stack, one distraction removed. Do it today, then do it again tomorrow. Let your actions, not your intentions, define you. Understand that you will slip, get distracted, and have messy days, but also understand that you now know how to come back faster, clearer, and stronger. The question in front of you is simple, even if it is not easy. Will you keep living in reaction mode, letting the world decide where your focus goes, or will you take back your mind and lead your life on purpose? No one can make that choice for you. This is your move.